Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Talkin Movies. As always, I'm your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about the next installment of the Rocky franchise, I guess technically. This is Creed 2. What this movie is about, it continues a story from Creed 1 with Adonis Creed trying to still follow the legacy of his father, Apollo Creed, from the Rocky franchise, and he also ends up having to face someone from his father's past, the man that killed him, Ivan Drago, and his son, who is rising up in the ranks of boxing and looking to help his father regain his glory back in Russia. I really like this movie, and I was a big fan of Creed. I liked that after Rocky Balboa, they, instead of having Rocky fight again, they kind of transitioned him into the trainer's role and moved on with Adonis as the new boxer. And I thought that this movie was a very good continuation of that story. If I had any real complaints about it, it would be that the story that they kind of set up in the first one, where, you know, he went the distance with the champ in the first one, but he had a rivalry with another boxer, Danny Stuntman Wheeler. You thought that that was going to be kind of the big story in the sequel, but they conclude that part of their story right at the beginning of this movie, so I kind of found that a bit surprising. I was okay with it because of the movie we ended up getting, but I was a little disappointed that they took all that time to kind of set up that rivalry and they just kind of move it aside for this continuation of the Drago storyline. What this movie is basically about is making your own legacy, not trying to live up to be just like somebody else. I mean, you could admire people, but it's about carving your own path. And it doesn't just go with Adonis's story, but it also goes with Victor Drago's story as well. Whereas in See what it is they challenge Adonis to a fight after he wins a big match. And it's Dolph Lundgren's character, Ivan Drago from Rocky 4. After he lost everything in Russia. No one wanted to give him the time of day, even his wife. And his wife left him, and he raised his son just to be this machine like he was, this revenge machine. And so there's that story of the son wanting to kind of be his own man, even though they don't really establish it that well. It's him wanting to be his own man and his father wanting to push him to live up to his dreams. And then on Adonis's side, you have him getting offered this fight, and Rocky doesn't want him to take it. And it's just about them going back and forth a little bit about that. Plus, it's about not only our legacy, but what do we fight for? There's some things that happen in the movie, and I don't really want to spoil them. So it's all about living up to your own legacy and knowing what you're fighting for. Another complaint I might have about this movie is that it was a little too predictable. What I really loved about Rocky 1, 2, and especially Rocky Balboa is you didn't know if Rocky was going to win. You have Rocky 1 where he loses. Rocky 2, it's like, well, he lost in the first one. I mean, yeah, a sequel should say he should win, but you never know. He might get bested by Apollo again. And then in Rocky Balboa, a lot of people, I think they filmed like a draw, a win, and a loss, so people didn't even know which it was going to be, and he did end up losing that fight in Rocky Balboa, but he was happy he was able to just do it. He was able to live up to his legacy. But in this movie, the way it works, in a way it felt a lot like Rocky 3. I'll just say that. The way the movie kind of flowed and everything. I mean, I don't think that Victor Drago was as mouthy as Mr. T or anything, but and really for about most of the, I don't know, maybe 2/3 of the movie, he didn't say much. He eventually did start talking and everything, but he just is kind of this machine his father built. And just the way the movie flowed, it was a bit predictable. That being said, the story they're giving us about living up to your own legacy and knowing what you're fighting for, the story they give is good, so you kind of can forgive the predictability. I do like that there were little subtle changes in living up to your own legacy. You remember in the first movie, Adonis's mom gave him the American style shorts of his father Apollo. And this one, though he wears them at first, he later gets his own trunks, and they look like his father's, but they're all in black, and they look really cool. So it's kind of him just, he's still wanting to live up to his father's legacy, but he's fighting for himself whenever it's all said and done. The performances in this are what you expect. I mean, Sylvester Stallone is still fantastic as Rocky. Michael B. Jordan still fantastic as Adonis. Dolph Lundgren, I love seeing him back. There is a couple of surprise former characters that return, and what little bit they're in it, they're great as well. I thought, and I may mispronounce his name, boxer Florian Munteanu, who played Victor Drago. I thought he did a good job. Granted, a lot of the time he didn't really have to say much. But there is a couple scenes he had that he had to have a discussion with his father, we'll just say, and he did a pretty good job. Despite my minor problems with this movie, it's still a solid, quote-unquote, Rocky movie. The only thing is, though, there's really, I don't know where they're going to go from here. I would have one guess that they might, the champ, whose name escapes me from the first one, the one that beat Adonis in the first movie, I think he might get out of prison. I don't remember how long he was going away for. I think he may be the new challenger, him getting out of prison and wanting to fight Adonis again, or Adonis needing to fight him again. I don't know. I'm not really sure where they're going to go with this. I'm really curious. I just don't want to see, the son of Mr. T's character or something like that, or heaven forbid Tommy Gunn comes back. So I don't know where they're going to go. That being said, this is still a solid Rocky movie. If you liked Creed and you like the other Rocky movies, you're probably going to like this one too. That's going to be all for this edition of Talkin Movies. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel, like this video. If you have anything to say about this movie, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno, Geno Reynolds. See you later.